And hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good evening, good night, good whatever, wherever you are. Welcome back, y'all. It's work time with Dr. Wood. Work time with Dr. Wood. Yo, yo. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm excited to be here. This is a time when I am spending some time doing some work, and you guys get to hang out with me. You get to come along. You get to do some of the work that you're doing, and we are working on an interesting series, and the series is called Q4. Q4 winning moves, Q4 winning moves, right? So behaviors to help succeed in Q4. And we're talking about the fourth quarter. That is the last quarter of the year. That's what we're in right now, right? We're in the middle of November. We've got about 6 weeks more to go to the end of the year. And in the Q4, we want to know what are the strategies for navigating the year-end sprint to success. A lot of times we find ourselves during the last quarter where we've been hitting it, right? We've been grinding, we've been running, we've been putting a lot of stuff in, and we get to the fourth quarter, and sometimes during the fourth quarter we start to relax, we get tired, and as a result of that we kind of slack up. You say, oh yeah, I've been going all year, so I'm going to take a break, and in the new year I'm going to come back. That may be you. There may be some people out there who are watching, and things never really got off the ground for you during the year. You said there were some things that you wanted to do at the beginning of the year, but it never quite panned out. And yeah, you're just like, okay, I'm not even going to start anything this year. I'm going to wait until next year, and then I'm going to hit the ground running. Or you had some things that you wanted to do, some things that you started, and then you it fell away, if you will. And the fourth quarter is a time when you can revamp, you can dust off, if you will, some of those things that you have been planning to do. And that's what this space is for. This space right now is, how do we get successful? What are strategies that we need to use? What is the strategy that we need, as I said, to navigate this sprint that we're going to be doing to the end of the year? Okay. And so we've been doing that, and on the screen, you'll see that we've been this is episode number 27, I believe. Yeah. Episode number 27 in the series. We've done a lot of teaching, a lot of working, and we continue to move through this quarter. As I said, we've got about 6 weeks more to go, and we continue to look at the things that make us successful. Because not only can we be successful for the rest of this year, right? But we can also set ourselves up to be successful starting off right out the gates in the new year. So we're setting ourselves up now for success, to finish, to revamp, to continue some of the successes that we've had, but we're also setting ourselves up to be successful in the new year, right? Yeah. So that's all stuff that we're doing. All right. Well, I just want to say welcome back. I want to say welcome back to you to this series because it's a fascinating series, right? Where we dive into challenges, triumphs. We talk about some personal things, and you've heard some things about me as it relates to the fourth quarter, right? And in the fourth quarter, I am starting now, today, to tackle one of those topics that I think it makes sense to go into this, because it's the one that really helps to set the tone for what goes on through the year, right? So how do you get back on track? How do you get back on track when life throws you a curveball, right? It happens to all of us. You're going along, and one day maybe you miss a deadline. Maybe you're at the top of your game and something happens, and you had some successes. Maybe something didn't quite go well, and you say, okay, I'm gonna get back to that. And after a while, you suddenly realize that, wait a minute, I never got back to that, right? I'm off the course, and you're unsure about how to get back on the course. But the thing is, getting off track is not just a common experience. It is an integral part of the things that we do, because we've got a plan to be back, to be off track. It's going to happen. Missteps happen. And we got to know how to get back. So in this episode and over the next several, we're going to be exploring the art of realignment, right? We'll explore why we get off track, why do we get derailed, and most importantly, how do we get back on track, right? Over the last couple, we've talked about prioritization, and we were going to continue down that trail, but I want to take a break from that, and we're going to talk about getting back on track, and then we'll come back and we'll talk some more about prioritization, right? So how do we get back? How do we get back on track is what we want to talk about. The journey back to one's desired path is as important, y'all, as the destination itself. Why is that important? Because if you don't get back on track, then it doesn't matter, right? If you don't get back on track, it doesn't matter. So the journey back to one's desired path is as important as the destination itself. And so how do we get back on track? You'll see some things there coming up. Recognizing you're off track. You got to recognize you're off track, because if you don't, you don't do anything to bring yourself back in alignment. Okay? You got to understand why. Why did I get off track in the first place? Right? What were the things that caused me to get derailed? And then we got to have some strategies to get back on track. What are some of the tools, right? And one of the things that I talk about all the time, as you hear me say, hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage. That empowerment, those are the tools. Those are the skills. Those are the things and the strategy that you need to get back on track. Because we can have the knowledge, that's the education part. But if we don't have the skills, right, we don't do anything. And then how do we stay motivated? How do we stay motivated and build good habits? Right? That's another way of another component of getting back on track. And then how do we overcome obstacles? You got to be able to overcome those obstacles, and then we got to cultivate your support system, right? So that's how you get back on track, right? Now that's the cheat code right there. That's the cheat code. Now we're going to delve into some specifics about recognizing when you are off track, recognizing when you are off track. And when in order to recognize when we're off track, and let me pause for a second. Let me pause there for a second. And all right, there we go. Let's get back over here. Booyah. Okay, here we go. Okay, all right. So that's what happened. You hit the wrong button on the screen. Okay, so my son said to me once. He said, "Daddy," he said, why are there guardrails? You know what guardrails are? At the side of the road. He said nobody deliberately runs their car off the side of the road. So why do we have guardrails? And I said, yeah, man, nobody deliberately does it. But if they do it, if by accident, if by chance they run off the road, they sure are happy that the guardrails are there, right? So how do we know? What are some guardrails? What are some guardrails? And what are some signs that you will know that you are off track, right? So one of the signs is that you miss deadlines. You're missing more and more deadlines. You started off the year and you're hitting the ground and everything is going well. You're making these having these big successes, and you're celebrating them like we talked about. And then all of a sudden, you miss a deadline here, you miss a deadline there, you miss another deadline, and it doesn't seem to faze you. Or it does faze you and you're worried all the time, right? So what are some signs? So missing deadlines, that is one of the things that will let you know that, hey, something's going on, okay? You're feeling overwhelmed all the time. Yeah, you're feeling overwhelmed. So you've created, and we've talked here in this series, we've talked about SMART goals. So you've created these SMART goals. You've broken them down into their chunks. You may even have gone through the prioritization that we talked about, the Eisenhower matrix, or the ABC method, or the Moscow method, or you've chosen something, and you've got your tasks, but all of a sudden we're feeling overwhelmed. We're missing the deadlines. We're feeling overwhelmed. We feel like things just aren't quite moving. And this is not, when we talk about things not moving at a good pace, right? Because there are sometimes when we can anticipate, we can be wanting things to move a lot faster than they are currently moving for whatever reason. But this is just feeling overwhelmed. You just, my goodness. Every time you think about whatever it is, you're like, oh my God, more stuff. I'm just overwhelmed, right? So feeling overwhelmed all the time. Losing sight of the goals. So there is the task, which is part of the SMART goal, which is a part of the bigger picture, right? And so because you're in the weeds now, you can't, you're like, well, why am I doing this? What is my why? But you're losing sight of that bigger picture. You have decreased productivity and motivation, right? So you're not as productive at work. If you're a salesperson, you're not selling as much. If you're a manager, you're in your office and people don't see you and your team is not really moving the way they should move. If you're a realtor or a broker, you're not showing houses, right? So people are like, well, hey, man, Dwain used to be like on top of his game, but look at him now. Productivity is decreased. And then you're not motivated. It's like, man, yeah, I'll get to that. I'll get to that another time, right? And then the quality of your work suffers. Now you're getting this stuff done, but it's not your A game. It's not your A game. So those are signs. These are all signs that you are off track, right? That's what we're talking about. How do we get back on track? The first thing is to recognize that you are off track. And these are some signs that we're talking about here about how do we know that we are off track. All right, so quality. And then you neglect yourself. You neglect your self-care and your personal life. So that begins to suffer. You become lopsided, and you guys know, if you've listened to me at any length, that one of my philosophies, part of my philosophy is that in order for us to be successful, in order to be successful in our lives, we have to live balanced lives. We have to be in balance. And if we're neglecting self-care, neglecting our personal life, we're not in balance. And so that causes problem. And that is a sign that you could be off track. And then feeling stuck and feeling stagnant. That is another sign that you may be off track. You feel stuck. You feel stagnant. Like, oh my goodness, if I get up, if I have to do this one more time, if I have to go another day, if I've got to, right? You're just not feeling it. And that goes along with motivation that we talked about a few lines up. So those are all symptoms or all indications that you may be off track. So if you're feeling any of those, in any way, then that may be a sign. Hey, particularly if you notice that the goals that you have, you're not reaching them. Like this year, we've got the fourth quarter, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll get that next year. Oh yeah, I'm tired now. I've been grinding all the time, and I'm gonna take a break. Or even if you didn't start things at the beginning of the year and it's coming up to the end of the year, yeah, I didn't do it this year. I'm gonna do it next year. All right. Those are all signs, all indications that you may be off track. Okay. And the overriding thoughts. And remember, the journey back to one's desired path is as important as the destination itself, right? As important as the destination of hand. So how do we get back on track? And you saw that list there. All right, we're going to go through and we're going to talk about each of those. Not tonight. We're going to come back and we're going to delve into each one successively. But how do we get back on track? Right? The first step is getting back on track is to reassess your current situation and goals. So we'll talk more about that, right? We got to recognize that we're off track. And then, okay, where am I? Because if I'm getting back on track, I got to know where I am. Okay? Once again, the journey back is as important. And it often starts with small, manageable steps. We're getting back, but it starts with small, manageable steps. And then resilience is the backbone of getting back on track. Because you got to be able to, that resilience, you know what that is? That's that bounce back. Right, you bumped into something that doesn't quite, okay, now I'm going back. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, I'm getting back. Oh, I fell off. I'm getting back. You got to be resilient. If you don't develop resilience, then things seem insurmountable. And we know that they're not because things are not insurmountable. All right, so we're talking once again about Q4 winning moves. Q4 winning moves is a series that we've been doing, talking about behaviors to help us succeed in the fourth quarter. That's what we're in, y'all. 6 more weeks to go, 6 more weeks. And what are some strategies for navigating the year-end sprint to success? And we continue to offer those and continue to provide some education, empowerment, and encouragement, right? So education, we provide education by informing you. We provide empowerment with tools. And we provide encouragement by the community that we have here, that we're building, that we're growing. And this is a great place to talk about some of the things that we've got going on, y'all. So if you've not already done so, please make sure you get over to our website. Well, not website, to our YouTube channel. And you'll see that coming up. Just there it is. Yeah, that's our YouTube channel. And several series that we've done. Of course, we are currently in the Q4 Winning Move series. And you'll see several of those. You'll see several of those videos there. Actually, if I go to live, there you go. You'll see several of them that are listed. As I said, that we are doing episode number 27 right now. And that's the one you see in the upper left-hand corner. Okay. As you scroll through, you'll find some of the other series that we're actually doing. And we're in the midst of this Q4 Winning Move series. But on our weekly show that we do at 7 p.m. Central on Mondays, we're doing a series entitled The War for Your Health. The War for Your Health, which talks about taking charge of the health, right? Taking charge of our bodies, taking charge of our minds, taking charge of our disease process, chronic illness, talking about obesity and food and diabetes, because this happens to be Diabetes Awareness Month. So all of those things, as we are in Q4, as we're trying to be successful in Q4, a big component of that is our health. The two most valuable things that we own, that's our time and our health. And so here in this space, we're talking about time and management and how do we be successful? How do we incorporate time? How do we manage time? How do we prioritize, right? That's the time component. But the health component also, right? The war for your health. So get over there and you'll see that series. This past week, or on Monday, we talked about insulin. Is insulin the cause for our health problems? And then the top 5 questions you should have about diabetes was one that we did there. We talked about the obesity epidemic, right? Lifestyle is medicine. The vegetarian diet, all about diets, right? So all of those are out there on the channel. So make sure you get out there and you watch it. And then, and I mentioned earlier the website. So on our website, that's Dwain Woode MD, Dwain Woode MD. If you get over to the website, you will see One of the books that we used as part of this series that we're doing, right, Q4 Winning Moves, last week we went through this book called The 7 Keys to Success, right? Steps successful leaders use to create the life they want. We use that as our workbook as we move through those concepts. You can download your free version of that, or your free copy of that, on our website, Dwain Woode MD. The newest offering in our lineup is Unmasking the Sweet Truth About Success. Unmasking the Sweet Truth About Success. This is a space. This is an online course that you can use to begin taking charge of your health. Remember, we talked about health just a minute ago. This one talks about some of the things, one of the most important things that affects health. Chronic disease, right? Inflammation, and that is sugar. Where are the sugars? Where are the hidden sugars? And this helps to walk you through that entire process. If you would like to have me as part of your community on a more personal base, you like to work with me personally, then you can do that as well by getting to the website, Dwain Woode MD, and you can sign up for our next level coaching program. That's Coaching Beyond the Disease. Coaching Beyond the Disease. Okay, so now we switch to the second component of what we do here on during the series, and we do some work. So if you brought some work with you, this is the time. We're going to play some music. We're going to mute in the background, and you get to do your work. So I hope you did bring something that you can work on, that we can work on here together. Right. So I'm going to be working on mine. You're going to work mine, you're going to be working on yours, and then we'll come back, we'll talk a little bit. If you're out there right now, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, let us know that you are there. Put a comment, let us know what you're working on. And if you've been listening to us, you'll notice that we have a new microphone, right? So here's a new microphone that I'm using, and tell me how you think it sounds. Tell me how you think this one sounds compared to the other one that I was using. And let's see, do I have that? It's back here somewhere. Okay. So I've had this one for a while. I used it a couple of times, and then I kind of switched to the others. I like how the others look, by the way. So that was one of the reasons for choosing it and for continuing to use it. But let me know how this sounds, because I think I may want to change. But let me know. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to mute, give you a behind the scenes look, and then we're going to do some work and then go from there. All right. So let's do that right now. Let's see. Let's get over here, and here we go.
Take a real close look now. Soon you'll realize you don't know what's coming down. I got you hypnotized. Take a real close look now. I'm going to show you how. I'm about to get down. So keep it up right now. So keep it up. So keep it up with me. I need to move. I need to feel the beat. Don't be a fool. You wanna hang with me. Life isn't easy. You gotta roll the dice. You wanna change. Join the paradise. So bring it on if you wanna hang with me. Alright.
About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me.
All right, all right. So hopefully you are getting some work done. I am actually in the middle of doing some research for a couple of things. I continue to work on the blog. So I've got a blog that's coming out on Friday. So we're doing that. I am putting together a script for the rest of my diabetes story. And if you have been out there, you've probably seen several of our videos, several of our shorts, talking about my diabetes journey. And let me see if I can at least pull one of those up so you guys can take a look at it. But yeah, so I've been doing that over the last several days. Actually, we're on day 15 now. I say several, day 15, and let's go ahead and see. Is that how we need to do that? Okay, let's do it a little differently. Here we are. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna pull that up here. That's coming up there in just a minute.
I made it through the rest of medical school.
That is one of the shorts.
Residency.
And so if you are out there, you'll see that on actually all of our social media platforms.
Any of my colleagues,
they will show up on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. So all of those platforms, you can go out and you can find those. Like it, subscribe it, share it with other people, please. Okay, so I've been writing the script to actually do more of those, so I can continue telling that part of our story, part of my story. Okay, so yeah, make sure you get out there and you listen to that, and then come on back, right? So we will continue to work for a little while longer, and then go from there. So last night, if you guys remember, I did some shout outs to several people that had been commenting and
the cells and all the reactions that are going on inside of us, that all of those reactions can work. If you remember chemistry, or even if you don't remember chemistry, you know that there are certain temperatures that you need for certain things, right? It's kind of like you get up in the morning and you go out. If you live in a cold climate and your car is outside, when you first try to start that car, it's not doing anything, right?
So when you get back to working,
right? So you have to warm it up.
Some stuff to do. If you are not,
which is an interesting
concept. So you're not with us right now in terms of being
it's
live.
You, right?
That's
so
okay.
if you're outside and you're cold,
we'd love for you to be here.
You don't work
We're here Monday
as well
Thursday,
as when you come in and you
Monday
warmed up,
Thursday,
right? So the same thing in the body. If the body gets
too
hot, then certain things don't work. If it gets too cold, then certain things in the body, certain enzymes, those same macronutrients and same micronutrients that we just talked about, then they can't.
Right,
they can't function well,
take part
because the temperature is not where we need to be.
Understand it.
Water helps to lubricate things. It lubricates joints. It lubricates organ systems.
But then
it helps to protect tissues, right? So as you're walking around and things are sloshing around, that sloshing, and you don't hear it
as work time.
But the water is cushioning,
get some work done.
cushioning
the prioritization that we did,
cushioning us, me, you, as we're walking around, so that we don't have the full force of the movement that we make. Right, so water is helping that. It moistens our tissues. It carries the nutrients to the cells. So the blood that flows through your body,
and you can get back to work,
largely made up of water. In the blood, there is oxygen. There are nutrients. There are vitamins. Right, those carbohydrates, those proteins, those fats that we talk about, they're in the process of flowing through the body so they can get to the cell where the cell needs it, so they can do the function that needs, right? Water also helps the kidneys and the liver to detoxify the body by flushing the system. If you don't have it, then it doesn't work, right? Here's one. One of the places that I see it a lot is just today. I was actually consulted for a patient that had come into the hospital and they came in DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis, which is an extreme form of high blood sugars for patients whose body can't use sugar. Then it starts, or can't use carbohydrates. Then it starts to break down fats, and when it breaks down fats, it produces this stuff called ketones, and that's ketoacidosis, right? It's actually the same idea that you see when we talk about people who are doing a ketogenic diet, but they don't go to ketoacidosis. They're trying to get into ketosis. But ketoacidosis is a further, it's a more dangerous process that happens, okay? Well, when those patients come in to the hospital, everybody wants to give them insulin, and insulin is appropriate. But you know what? If the person is dehydrated, then the insulin that we give them can't get to the place that it needs to be, where it needs to function, so that the sugar or glucose that needs to go into the cell is able to do so. So remember, insulin is the key that opens the cell up to allow the glucose, the sugar, to get in. So if insulin can't get there, then the sugar can't get into the cell, and so the blood sugars stay high. So one of the most important things that we teach our trainees, our residents, our fellows, medical students, is that one of the first things that you want to do when you're seeing a patient who is in DKA or HHS, which is another form of high blood sugar, you want to make sure that they're getting fluids. So if your fluids, if you're not hydrated, then those processes in the body that need to work can't work. The other thing is that water helps to dissolve minerals and nutrients and make them accessible, right? So all the stuff that we eat that goes into the system, part of what helps to break those down, water. So very essential. One of the most important ones, let's talk about some enzymes. So when you eat a piece of protein, say you eat a piece of steak, or you eat some fat, that has to be digested, right? It goes into the stomach, it goes through the stomach, and there are some things that happen in there. I won't go into all the terms, right? And that moves into the intestine, and in the intestine, it gets broken down and gets dissolved and so forth. But some carbohydrates, as soon as you put it on your tongue, there are enzymes in the saliva that begin breaking down carbohydrates, and your body begins to absorb it. That takes what? Water. It takes lubrication. If we don't have enough water and lubrication, then things don't work the way they are supposed to work, right? So very, very important that we have all of those things. Well, what happens? So, and that's the positive, right? So we eat, we get nutrients, we get vitamins and minerals, all the macro, the micro, all those things in our body, and water's there, and it's all sloshing around, and everything works the way it's supposed to. Well, what happens if we, instead of putting gas in the car, we put sand? Now notice there is a connection, and we've talked about here on this channel, and actually in this series, we talked about the process that goes on when the food that we eat is not appropriate, right? So this is the whole thing about eating a poor diet. So chronic illnesses like diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart attacks and strokes, and even decreased life expectancy, right? So if we're having all these disease processes because of the food that we're eating, then our life expectancy goes down. Pause there, right? So we are now having more complications from chronic illnesses, that diseases of lifestyle, than we are from infection and environmental issues. Right? The food that we eat and the way we eat is essentially killing us. So it also has an impact on our mind. So the things that we eat can cloud the mind. So when we're eating, let me give you an example. Have you ever been going along and you say, hey, I'm hungry, and you go and you grab something that's high in carbohydrates, right? It's high carbs. So you drink some juice, or you eat a piece of candy, or you eat I don't know, a donut or something. You drink a milkshake, eat some ice cream. Now, I'm not picking on those foods per se. I'm just using foods that are high in carbs. And you go and you eat that stuff, or you drink that stuff. How do you feel afterwards? Right? You feel sluggish. You feel a little down, right? And even when sometimes people will eat because they are sad or upset or something, and they get that boost, right? They get that, eat some chocolate, and boom, you get that rush. And what happens when the rush or the sugar, right, the carb starts to wear off, right? You get that downer, right? So it can affect our mental ability. It can affect our ability to think. This is our food that we're talking about. So excessive sugar is one thing. Salt is a big one, right? So we love our salt. We want to make sure it tastes. And as a matter of fact, I was cooking some stuff last night, and I actually think I put a little bit too much salt in the food. So I had to get some potatoes and put it in there. I was making some curry, y'all. I was making some curry. That's right. A big curry. I love curry. So anyways, I was making some curry last night, and I put a little bit too much salt. And so I had to get some more potatoes, put it in there, and it kind of did its thing. Yeah. So there are dangers to not just having poor diet, but also dangers of having excess in areas, right? And that'll come back to talk to us here in just a minute. All right, let's get over here and let's see. We got some folks I want to say hi to. Of course, G. Albert was here. He was asking, hey, is this? And here is Grace. Grace says, hello, Dr. Woode. I'm happy to be here. Glad that you are here, Grace. Florence, good evening. Florence says, good evening, Dr. Woode. And G. Albert, always excited when you come through, man. He says, our quality of life may be affected. G. Albert, give me a little bit more there. Give me a little bit more. He said, or quality of life may be affected. I think you were responding to something I said, but just give me a little bit more there. And then sugar high. Yes, sugar high. Yeah, when you eat something that's high in carbs, then of course you get that sugar high,
yes,
and then you get the crash. Right, you get the crash. So very, very important to know that there are consequences.
All right, so so work time with Dr. Dwain Woode.
To eating
continuing
an unhealthy diet.
Series,
and so once again, we're talking, right? And let's remember where we are
talking about
in this discussion. We're talking about the war
getting back
for your health.
Getting back on track is what we've been doing. But behaviors to help succeed in Q4, strategies for navigating the year-end sprint to success is what we've been doing. And then specifically starting out on a sub-series, a sub-segment, if you will, how to get back on track. Some of them times we do get off track, and it's hard if we don't know how to get back on. If you've not already done so, please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get over there.
We have no problem,
button,
and we say we human beings,
right? So you can.
We have no problem
all the things that
thinking of our car
series
as a piece of machinery
that we have videos
that will wear out, break down,
on the channel,
need repairs, and we get we got the manual, and it says, hey, replace this at this time. We're actually having some issues with one of our cars, right? So replace this at that time, get this tuned up. This is the schedule, this is the maintenance, and we go through and we do all those things for the car.
This will help
because we anticipate, we know that if we don't do that, the car is going to deteriorate, and at some point we're going to have more problems with it
and their health
But we don't think the same thing about our bodies.
Fourth quarter, and then
Now I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you, and let's have a little conversation here.
Get over
right?
to our website.
Let's have a little conversation
that you will find
so,
over there.
So your
First,
body,
I always plug this.
no
book
matter
that we
how
did, and we
much you
used
take care of
the book
it,
that I wrote, and we
it's
used
deteriorating.
it as our workbook for.
I mean, no, I don't know if anybody has said that to
sub-series
you.
that we did last
But
week.
it is
7
right?
keys to success.
It's deteriorating.
Right? Are
And the more we live, the older we get,
how do we be successful?
right? The more
How are
things
we
begin
gonna be
happening. It's
successful?
just like your
Steps successful
vehicle,
leaders
everybody. It's
use
just
to
like your
create the
car.
life that they want. And then
And the better maintenance we
you
take,
can
we
sign up
do
for our
on the
newsletter.
car,
You can
the
sign up
longer
and you will see
the car
all
lasts,
of our blog
and the
posts.
less
Those
things
are
we have
there
go
as
wrong
well.
with it.
Go
So the
ahead
same
and,
thing with the
hit
body,
that button, and
right?
you
It's
will,
going to
see all
start
of those.
deteriorating. But
I also
the
want you
better,
to
the
know
more
that
maintenance
one
we
of
make,
the
more maintenance we
series
have, the
our
better we
newest
take care of
offerings,
it,
not series,
the more
is our
likely it
online
is
course,
that we're not going to
called
run into
Unmasking
the
the Sweet Truth About
complications and
Success.
some of those things
It
that
is an
happen
opportunity to
downstream.
begin taking
Now,
charge
you know,
of
and
your
people say,
health,
"Oh,
getting to know some
my
things
Uncle
that are
George or my
affecting your
cousin
health,
so and so,
for
he was a
people who have
vegetarian and
chronic
he
illness,
exercised and
diabetes,
he,
high cholesterol,
you know,
high,
lived in the gym
blood
and he never
pressure.
did this, he
If
never
you
smoked, he
have
never,
struggle with
and he
weight,
still died of a heart
obesity,
attack." Well, you
if
know
you
what?
have
There are cars
chronic,
that you take care of them and you
pain,
do
rheumatoid
all the good
arthritis.
stuff,
So a lot of those
and they
things
still
are
break down. They still need an engine. They
inflammatory.
still
And
need
so
a transmitter. They
understanding
still need an
how
alternator.
Inflammation and sugar particularly contributes to that.
But that doesn't mean
very
that, you know,
important.
because we have that
And
one
if you
car
want me to
that
be a
didn't
part of your
follow the rules when you took care of it,
personal,
that,
group,
you know,
if
you,
would
you're like,
love- if you
I'm
would
not
like
ever
for me
driving
to
cars
come
again,
alongside you
right?
as a coach.
So the likelihood is that if we do a
get
good
unstuck.
job,
You know
that
there are
we're
some things
more
that you wanna
likely
do, some
to
places you wanna
avoid
go,
complications.
Some ideas that you need to deal with. I would love to be a part
Right.
of the community.
That wasn't
on
part
a
of my-
more, personal
That
level.
wasn't
You
part
can
of
sign up
my
on
original
our
discussion.
website.
But
It's
I,
Dwain Woode, MD,
you know, that's the thing that
DwainWoodeMD.com.
sometimes
You can sign up for our next
sometimes we don't
level
realize.
coaching program, y'all. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say something
so excited
that
about all of that.
would get me in trouble. I'm
and
going to say it
then,
anyway, right?
You know, come on back to
That means
our shows,
then,
right? So we're doing this
right?
series
And
at
shameless
night.
plug
We do
for
a
me
show
and
at
for
7
my
o'clock
profession.
Central every
That
Monday,
means that
unless,
you got to at
indicated.
some point,
And then on
you
our
may
social
have to
media
see a
platforms,
doctor and do
you
what the
can
doctor
find
says, which
us
includes
on TikTok,
medication,
Twitter,
y'all.
Instagram, Facebook,
Right.
and it's Dwain
Just like when you
Woode
take your car to the
MD,
shop
Dwain Woode
and the guy
MD
says, "Hey,
is
yo,
our social
you
handle, so
need-
please make sure you get out there."
I don't know.
And then, as I always
You
say,
need a new
share this
alternator.
with somebody. Share it with somebody. Let them.
You don't
know
say to him,
that
"Hey,
we are
you
here
know what I'm
and
going to
what
do
we are
is I'm going to go
doing."
out there and I'm
Okay?
going to
And man, this is
rub
Dr.
this
Dwain
leaf
Woode,
over
y'all.
the alternator."
That's Dr.
Oh,
Wade
bad
Dwain Woode
Dr.
here
Woode.
on the channel. I
And
educate,
the alternator is
I
going to get
empower,
better. No.
and I
He
encourage you
said,
to take charge
"Okay,
of
let's
your health,
replace it."
your life, avoid complications, go to the next level, create the
All
life.
right,
you
all right,
go
all right.
wanted.
Let's see.
And that's Dwain
So
Woode,
G. Albert's
MD.
responding. He says,
Dwain Woode, MD.
"Yes, you were
That's
talking
Woode
about
with
how
an E.
eating
Thank
an
you for being
unhealthy
here.
diet can
We'll see
affect you. I just echo
tomorrow
quality
night.
of life
So Monday
as
through Thursday.
a
We'll see you
follow-up to
tomorrow
your
night. And then if we don't
comment.
see you
Okay,
tomorrow
thank you,
night,
thank
make
you,
sure
thank you.
you
Yes.
put it
Okay.
hashtag
All right.
replay.
See,
if
you
you're
guys got
watching
me
this
off on a
the
tangent.
replay. And then we'll see you on
Right, so
Monday,
there are hidden dangers,
at our
right? There
show.
are hidden
We'll see you back
dangers
tomorrow night,
to
for,
to
the
excess
final show
sugar,
of this
excess
week,
salt,
and then as we
processed
pick up next
food,
week.
and
Thank
so
you.
forth.
Good night,
Okay?
good morning, good
All right.
evening, wherever you find yourself.
So
See you
then,
later.